following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it is time for another edition of Mick Shots. Bill Jones, Mickey Spagnola, Everson Walls, and we will have a special guest coming later in the show as there's so much to get to with these Dallas Cowboys on a Thursday, May 28th, 2020. And if my calculations are correct, it's day number 77 now. Day number Jim.
Let me write that down. 77. Okay.
Day 77, and there are less than 77 days before we're headed to training camp in Oxnard, California. I haven't done the math on that. Let's see, 22 and 53. We're about 57 days away from leaving on a jet plane for Oxnard, California. Dr. Fauci, what do you have to say about that?
He is way too happy. He is way too happy. I don't know what's going on with him this morning. He took a shower this morning. Now he's all bright and bushy-tailed. Look at you, Bill. You look great, man. You look great.
That's exactly right. But, Mickey, we got so much to get to. Mike McCarthy with a conference call yesterday, and we reestablished communication with Mickey Spagnola in a second, Everson.
Yes.
And so he talked with the media for pretty much 25 minutes or so. I didn't put a clock on it, but there were a lot of things that he went over as far as how he is handling things and how the team is, their virtual off season. Talked about Aldon Smith some. By the way, coming up a little bit later, it will be the agent for Aldon Smith, Ron Slavin, who will join us and talk about how things are going as Aldon Smith joined the virtual off-season program on Tuesday. Mickey, I understand you are back.
I am back. I'm not frozen anymore. But, yeah, you're exactly right. Things really kind of moving along this week with some of the other teams opening up their facilities to just a certain amount of people, the Cowboys doing that. And then the NFL owners having their meetings today, virtually, of course, and also voting on a couple proposals, so we can also get to that. And, I thought Mike McCarthy was pretty good yesterday talking about the different things, and I'm not sure we all really realized that he went back to Green Bay after the shutdown, and basically he's been doing all the stuff with the team virtually from Green Bay, all the meetings, the teachings they were having. He was at his house, and as he said, he's anxious to get back, and he felt like his family was anxious for him to get back and get out of the house. So a little levity there from him. But, yeah, they're moving along, doing the best you can. It's a tough thing for teams that don't that have new head coaches. But regardless, everybody's kind of in the same boat trying to get prepared for a season.
It's got to be a little strange, your coach is not at the facility. That's a little bit unusual. I didn't know he had gone back to Green Bay as well, Spags. That's kind of unusual when you're talking about getting prepared for meeting your team, working with your team, and to do that virtually. I did read a quote where he said that it is affecting their preparedness because you just really can't do the same things while I'm in Green Bay, the players are here, we're not even practicing, we can't even meet really, not in a regular, normal standpoint. I just really think that this is going to be a challenging thing for McCarthy because this is a new team. Now, if he was still with the Green Bay Packers, it'd be a totally different thing. He's accustomed to the system. He doesn't have to indoctrinate anyone. At this point, everything is new, and he's doing it from a remote location. It's got to be weird.
Emerson, I heard something very interesting I'm trying, maybe it was the end of last week or was it the beginning of this week. I've lost track of time. days. But
It's day
Every day
77.
is
Day
the same.
77. Okay, so I don't know what day they did the conference call with Anthony Brown, or I mean Xavier Woods, and they were asking. He got asked about, is it difficult to learn when you're doing everything virtually? And he goes, it's different. He goes, but it's almost like being back in college. He goes, I took online courses, and that's how we learned. It was online. So he goes, this is kind of the same. Paying attention when you're online to listen to a professor. So for some of the younger guys, they might understand this better than what we do, because they kind of were used to that in college. It's different, but everybody again is in the same boat. The problem is, he still hasn't had a face-to-face meeting with all 90 guys on the roster. And as he pointed out, with whatever he's using, Zooming to stream or whatever, that you can't get 90 faces on the screen at the same time. So that's kind of the biggest difference, and just the personal contact you have with the players.
So what you're saying, Mickey, is that Johnny Manziel was a trendsetter as far as college athletes are concerned, and now everybody takes all their classes online.
He'd fit in real good now, going to summer school or finishing out the semester, right? Because that's what most everybody had to do, the high school kids, elementary school, and who knows, you may end up doing that on a temporary basis when everybody goes back to school in the fall. I've read different things about.
Come on, Dr. Fauci. We're going to be back in class.
Everybody,
We're gonna be
right?
back in class, Dr. Fauci.
Some
That's
going
right.
2 days and some going 3 days, and, alternating next week.
All of these colleges are turning into the University of Phoenix. That's what
right.
it is.
How much is University of Phoenix going to benefit from this stuff? All right, let's. How about as far as Dak Prescott is concerned, Mickey? Because back in April, when Mike McCarthy met with the media, of course he was not going to say one way or the other whether Dak Prescott was participating in the virtual off season. He, as much as alluded to it yesterday, didn't come right out and say it, but when asked about Dak Prescott, I don't think he was asked point blank about whether Dak is involved in the virtual off season, but he said that it's a business situation that Dak is going through right now. There is communication, and it's something that they'll just have to deal with, but he doesn't believe it'll be set back any.
Yeah, and you would certainly like your quarterback taking part in anything. I still don't understand, why he's not. It's not creating any leverage. It certainly hasn't affected the negotiations one way or another. I mean, again, you roll out of bed, you don't even have to put a T-shirt on to join the meeting, right? Don't have to comb your hair or, take a shower. It's pretty simple. It's not like asking a lot. So,
Well,
but again,
that's not the way Bill does it, Spags.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't do like Bill.
I know,
Okay?
and I understand agents, and it's their client and telling them what to do. But to me, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
That's always been the move, though. Nothing's different here. Just because it's virtual, it's not going to make a difference to the player or to the agent themselves. They're still trying to take their stand, and they're trying to show that they have resolve, and that, as long as we're going to have these issues and this is going to be dragged out the way it is, then this is going to be my punishment to you. That's just the way it is. I don't think at this point it's extremely urgent. I don't know how much they're changing up the offensive game plan, Spags. You might know more than I would. But, when you come off of a season like Dak had, all mistakes and bad games aside, you're talking about a guy who had a premier year. And I would imagine he's thinking, I've been out here practicing with Dez Bryant, so I'm ready.
My thought on that, though, is what if I have to, what if we don't get a long-term deal done and I got to play on the franchise tag? Well, if I'm playing on the franchise tag, boy, I want to have the best year I've ever had. And I want to be totally prepared, because I don't want to have a down year and then I'm either, trying to get the second franchise tag, or they say, you know what, I just don't know that we need this guy. I would, and that's far-fetched, right? I understand.
Of course.
But if you're, maybe you do this if you're a quarterback, but say you're, I don't know, an offensive lineman or a cornerback. Boy, I would want to have the best year I could have to market myself just in case I had to go into free agency.
I'm sure now, I'm speaking as a player. When you're talking as a player and you come off the year that he just had, now team-wise, of course, there was a lot of things left on the table. But as far as his own individual year, I think he's feeling pretty good about himself. And, one off-season camp won't really make a difference. Hopefully we won't have to deal with this the next time around. When is the next scheduled virtual off-season camp? Do you know? How do they do this? We're going to have more than one? Seems like they could have it every day since we're going to the University of Phoenix type of learning here.
Yeah, you don't want to overburden the players now in the off-season, right? You can't be taxing them, right? Plus, and Bill mentioned, that everything kind of moving forward. So I was going to ask Mr. Optimism. So you think the players and coaches will be back in the building, say, in 2 weeks, middle of June?
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about that. My man Lincoln Riley up at Oklahoma, he said that it'd be crazy on the college level. It'd be crazy for the student athletes to be back on campus as they normally would be at the beginning of the summer on June 1st. And they're bringing their players back on July 1st, even though conferences are now allowing players, I believe, to be back on campus as early as June 8th, some are June 15th. In the abundance of caution, they've been advised at that particular university by their doctors to bring them back as late as possible, which leads me to the question, I don't know that it necessarily matters right now outside of, especially with the Cowboys with a new coaching staff, you would like to have some hands-on time with your players as early as possible. But Everson, as a player, has not had an off-season program, hands-on in an NFL facility. How much time will these players need to get ready for the season? How different will it be from past years as far as physically being able to play a regular season football game in early September?
To me, I think you have to look at veterans versus rookies. We've signed some very prominent rookies to this team through the draft. And if we want these guys to be involved in this game, in this team and in this season, then we're going to have to get some of these players a chance to play. So having said that, it's very important at this point when you're talking about bringing in CeeDee Lamb. This guy has to be ready to go. We're looking at him as one of our slot guys. He's going to have to be ready to go. We're looking at the defensive ends that we signed. They're going to have to be ready to go. You've got because of the free agency and because of the draft picks, you're going to have this team running on all cylinders if we want to make a move that we didn't make last year. Coming off of last season was not good. So these players are going to have to be really in tune to a new system, especially defensively. The cornerbacks themselves, it's about timing when it comes to cornerbacks. You can't just get out there and say, well, I've been looking at film of myself and now I'm ready to go. No, you have to go out there and compete against these other players. So, the time that they need to get prepared for the season is very precious right now, and definitely more precious than it has been during other off seasons.
But as far as training camp goes, normal length training camp should be good, right? As far as from a physical standpoint, get ready for the season, or do they need more time?
No, they're going to need more time. You've got different players. You've got newer players coming in. Even though they're veterans that came in from Carolina, you've got the free agent signings. I truly believe they're going to need more time because I'm still including this offseason as a factor. You still have to get some work done in the offseason as you prepare for the training camp. Right now, players they're not like we were, Bill. Right. We used to come in all off season. We didn't do jack. We came to training camp to get in shape.
Right.
Now these guys are different. They're in shape all year round. They are having a bit of a problem doing that with this special situation with the disease going around.
How do you think the Players Association is going to feel? Because there's an opportunity here. Let's say it all clears up and people can be back on campus by June 15th or so. In a normal off-season, that basically is when the off-season program is ending, June 15th or 20th, and then the players have a month off before the start of training camp.
Yes.
I don't know if the league will if the teams will propose this to the players, but how would the players union feel about, okay, going ahead and that last month that you're normally off, you're back on campuses and you're doing an off-season program getting set for training camp. How will that go over with the players?
I think the players just wanted to work, whatever it is. At this point, everything is so unique, Bill, that we're all, as players, as Players Association and management is concerned, we're all trying to make it work now. There is no schedule that we are accustomed to. Everything has changed. The scheduling for the offseason has changed. I think there will be a better meeting of the minds when it comes to management versus the union and how the players want to deal with this. Now, the only thing that I think would be a problem, as long as you don't talk about taking away some of my money, if you're talking about taking away some of my money, yeah, we have an issue. But if we all are coming together in a coordinated effort, I think they would all meet in the middle in regard to this.
So you'd be fine with taking away your July beach time to get ready for the season?
Nobody's going to the beaches, Bill. Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Ask Dr. Fauci.
Dr.
No
Fauci
one's going
let
to
us
beaches.
go to the beach, right?
They might go to.
Looks like we've lost Mickey there. Hey, Everson, a little bit later in the show, we are going to, in just a moment, we're going to be joined by Ron Slavin, the agent for Aldon Smith. We'll get into that. But we're also going to get into cornerbacks on this team coming up later in the show. And Mickey talked about the virtual owners meeting that is going on today. And the big proposal that is out there, Mickey, I understand you're back with us now. The big proposal out there is the onside kick alternative, where a team can instead run a play, a 4th and 15 play from their own 25-yard line in order to keep the football after scoring a touchdown. What do you think of it?
To me, it's quite intriguing that you get that option. I mean, you can still onside kick if you want and take your chances kicking off from the normal spot, but this kind of gives you, and you can only do it twice in a game, and not in overtime, and it is not a time play. So if you're desperate and you think you've got a nice 4th and 15 play, why not? What I'm thinking, though, is, are the owners going to do something like this so far removed from the tradition of the game to go ahead and say, okay, let's try this? Because this is sort of an AAF thing. This is sort of an XFL thing.
And it really does sound like that, Spags. That is an XFL, CFL thing if I've ever heard it. I don't know if I don't even see the validity of using that form of a special team. I guess I don't see I don't know who came up with that. I mean, we could pull something else out of our butts, I guess, and just come up with something like that. But what is the basis of using that format?
Well, here's what happened. They've looked at the last 2 years since they've changed what you can do on kickoffs, like no run up, where you're kicking from, the type of blocking that goes on, and they've discovered over the last 2 seasons only 10.2% of the onside kicks have been recovered. So it's almost like useless. In 2018, 7.7% was recovered, and I'm told that from 2001 through 2017, onside kicks were the average of all those years were recovered at 19.5%. So it's almost like the onside kick, it's not working. The chances of recovering it. So that's why this was proposed. I think it was Philadelphia and
I think it's Philadelphia.
And there was one other team, Indianapolis.
So
or
why
Baltimore.
go to the 4th and 15? Why go to that? Why would that be used? Because the same percentage of success.
Well, that part I don't know if they've looked at how many teams have converted a 3rd and 15 or a 4th and 15.
I'm sure that was
right.
part
The
of it.
reward's pretty good. The downside pretty bad, right? Because if nothing else, if you don't convert, you're basically saying I'm giving them a field goal. You know, if you don't recover an onside kick, well, okay, they're halfway there. They're probably around the 50-yard line or so, 40-yard line.
That's
it's not
true.
an automatic field goal attempt,
Right.
but this basically is an automatic field goal.
Unless you have Brett Maher on
That's
your team.
right.
Don't bring that name up again, Bill. Do not bring that name up ever again on this show, please.
You know, and Patrick
Well, he can nail that
Patrick
60-yarder.
Mahomes said, I'm good. I've got a lot of 4th and 15 plays I can complete.
That's exactly right. All right, coming up next here on Mick Shots, we will be joined by the agent for one Aldon Smith. Ron Slavin joins us coming up.
Guys, just remember, if you go to Jack Black right now, you can save 5% and never run out again. Choose auto replenishment. Get 5% off every order, plus you get these other great benefits that we always talk about: free shipping, free 5-piece gift set, automatic delivery on your set schedule. So if you go to getjackblack.com and hit auto refresh now, you can get this great benefit.
You almost made it, Spags. Almost.
Ron Slavin is next.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Essilor is a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, helping fans see more and do more with our best vision solutions. Our lens technologies reveal a world more beautiful than you can imagine. For a limited time, get the Essilor Next Gen offer. When you buy the latest generation of Transitions lenses with select Essilor lenses, you can choose a second pair of clear lenses for free with qualifying frame purchases. Restrictions apply. Find a participating eye care professional by visiting EssilorUSA.com. Essilor. See more, do more.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to...
Right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store to find out how to get one of our popular smartphones for $0 down, based on GWS One Score September 2019.
Back to Mick Shots.
Well, I mean, I'm just so happy for where Aldon is right now, personally. I mean, he's such an impressive young man, and you know, in his path to Dallas is special and unique. So, just thankful and blessed to be a part of this opportunity with him. So, he wants to get back and you know, professionally and be part of the football team, be productive. He's in great physical shape. I think it's going to be exciting to see him get out there for the first time. I mean, he's bigger and stronger than he was when we had the chance to compete against him when he was with the 49ers, obviously playing at an elite level. So I think it's going to be exciting to see him get on the field and get back into it. But he's in a great place, and very thankful, and for his, for him being part of the Dallas Cowboys.
Mike McCarthy yesterday in a conference call with the Dallas-Fort Worth media talking about Aldon Smith as the Cowboys defensive end reinstated last week, able to take part in that virtual off-season program starting a couple of days ago. And here on Mick Shots, we are now joined by Ron Slavin, the locally based agent for Aldon Smith, practically a neighbor of mine. Ron, we appreciate you joining us here on Mick Shots. Just how excited is Aldon Smith to be here with the Cowboys and being able to now to participate on a regular basis with the team?
He's fired up. He had his physical yesterday, got sized up for his pads, helmets, all that type of thing. So he's excited and he's ready to go as soon as they open up for business.
Ron, the fact that he's given this a shot, I was just wondering if you could walk us through just sort of how you got hooked up with Aldon and what that process looked like for you, even to have confidence in him to say, okay, I think he's serious about doing this.
In December, I was actually watching, I don't remember, one of the Sunday Night Football games, and I got a phone call from Jay Glazer, and Jay called me and said he'd been training Aldon since August, that Aldon had been sober since then, and wanted to know if I had interest in working with him. I made a few other phone calls, had actually a couple other people on that associated with the league side call me on it. And then Aldon flew to Dallas. We met, and after spending a couple of days with him, I just felt it, that he was serious and ready. And I think I've said this before, but when he told me that he's not blaming other people anymore, he's taking it upon himself. And when people with substance abuse issues take it upon themselves to get themselves right and quit blaming everybody else for their problems, is usually the turning point. And when I heard that come out of his mouth, I knew that he was ready and going to put in the work and do everything he could to be right. And that was the end of December, early January, and here we are at the end of May, and he's still on a great track, and he's bigger and stronger, like Coach McCarthy said. When people see this kid, he's different, and the athleticism, and he's been working out with a defensive line coach here in Dallas, Brandon Tucker, who works with a bunch of NFL guys. And I went out and watched him a couple of times just in this park out in Plano, and his get-offs and the work with his hands and all the things that he does. He's an elite athlete.
Ron, this is Everson. I wanted to ask you about did his abilities, with the standard that he set when he was playing and at just one of the best players people have ever seen, did his abilities have anything to do with the decision that you made to represent him, besides the fact that you knew of his substance abuse problems and things of that nature? If he wouldn't have had that great ability, would you take the time and deal with someone like that?
Every situation's different. I get phone calls with all different players that are either going through things or, maybe their agent wasn't, thought they were done and they want my opinion on if they could still play. So when Jay called me and said what Aldon was doing physically, it just made sense to take the meeting and see where he's at. If you're asking me if a guy calls me that had 2012 had one sack and now we're in 2020, I'm probably not taking it.
But you would probably take Everson Walls, though, when you look at his stats, and he had 57 career stats, but maybe not at his age right now.
Oh, I'd still take him. You never know. You might have a little juice in the system still.
And a little hair dye, just a little hair dye too.
No, you could be the original gray-haired Pro Bowl corner.
There you go, man. I love it.
Ron, it seems like Dallas is the perfect fit for Aldon Smith when you consider the fact that Jerry and this organization is one that is willing to take second chances on guys. Mike McCarthy, of course, it's been well chronicled. He visited the Jay Glazer's gym. His daughter works out there and had a conversation with Aldon back in December. And the fact that Jim Tomsula, his former position coach with the 49ers, is here with Dallas, and the fact that you, his agent, are based here as far as accountability goes, that sort of thing. It seems like the perfect fit, doesn't it?
I always thought it, but I also didn't want to make the decision for Aldon. I wanted him to be comfortable with the decision he made. So when I went to the combine and had a bunch of interest, I wanted him to go through it and talk to people and make the decision. And again, I've said it before, but Aldon called me, I think it was March 29th or 30th, and said, Dallas feels like the place that I want to be. So when I heard it out of his mouth, because I didn't want it coming out of my mouth. I don't want people thinking, oh, he lives in Dallas, so he's going to push everybody to the Cowboys. As much as I'd like to see the Cowboys win when you live in the city, it's more bearable to live here. To have him make the decision on his own just was the right thing to do. And but all the pieces definitely added up and made sense. And the Joneses are great to work with. They are more willing to give people second chances, and Coach McCarthy and Aldon hit it off, and Tomsula having the familiarity with Aldon, all those things lined up, me being here. But again, I wanted Aldon to make the decision so he was comfortable with it.
Ron, that sounds like how you deal with your kids when they're getting ready to go to college. You kind of got to let them make that decision. And, if it doesn't work out or you don't agree with it, that's on them. You can't tell them, no, you're going here. So that's a really good point. So I'm interested in the fact that, when he last played, and it was 5 years ago, and the end of November 15th of 2015, I think he was playing at like 260, 265. And my understanding, I don't know what he weighed in yesterday, but reading from what some of the things Jay Glazer said, he was in the 280s, but strong, a lot stronger. Is that the case? Do you think he still has the ability to be that pass rushing defensive end, even though he might be 20 pounds heavier?
Yeah, so Aldon, he literally didn't miss a workout since August. So even you, Mickey, if you showed up to workouts every single day since August, you're probably going to get stronger. All right. So
negligibly, but
he won't be smarter.
So, he got off the plane here, and I was like, hey, I got this set up with Brandon Tucker to work with you on the D-line stuff. And I had a bunch of stuff lined up for him. And the first thing he said was, I'm going to take a couple of days to chill, because I literally haven't had a day off from workouts. And those MMA workouts, punching people, getting hit, all those things are tough. And he just wanted a couple of days to relax. But it's power and strength. And if Jay Glazer's talked about it, where he's worked with hundreds of guys there coming in and out of there. And I think he said the only guy that's physically as strong with his hands was Kyle Long, and Aldon's even stronger than that. And Coach Tucker, he called me after his first workout with Aldon, and he's like, Ron, I had a pad in my hand, and every time he was striking me with his hands with these pass rush moves, I felt like I was getting hit by a frying pan. So he's I'm telling you guys, he's just different. The thing, 42 and a half sacks in 43 games wasn't for naught. And then people say, oh, that was 5 years ago, like you just said in your question. But there's this certain, I represent Adrian Peterson. There's just certain guys that it doesn't matter their age, they can just keep coming, and their work ethic and their strength and all of those types of things just never go away.
I saw where Jay Glazer was talking about some apparatus they have the guys working on, and it's on a wall, and he was the first one to pull the apparatus off the wall.
He just didn't pull it off the wall. The bolt that is into the concrete, he ripped it out of the wall.
What are we dealing with here, guys? Come on, man.
A lot of people down here like to drive pickup trucks and pull stuff. Aldon could probably do some work for him in the yard during quarantine if they need, with the strength that he's showed pulling that thing out of the wall.
So who has the stronger handshake, Aldon or Adrian Peterson? Because Adrian's is legendary.
That's Adrian all day long. A lot of old linemen and D linemen, they don't have the firmest handshakes because their hands are always so beat up and sore. So sometimes you'll get a fish shake from a 320-pound guy. But it doesn't matter if it's 6 in the morning or 6 at night. Adrian's trying to break your hand.
How's that handshake, Everson?
No, I have a great handshakes guy. Okay? My dad had the strongest handshake you've ever been around. I tell people all the time, he could change a tire with no tools. That's how big his hands were. So that's what I've been dealing with all my life. So I'm prepared for that. But Ron, I had to ask you, it's great to be in physical shape. Of course, he's always been a physical specimen. But his attitude is something obviously that everyone's been worried about. Do you think the loss of the game, that being taken away from him, even though it took a while, do you think that was a big motivation in him being so intent on coming back and finishing what he started?
He just, he said it in the reinstatement meeting that, he screwed up and he wants to not only come back and be the player that he was, but be an influence for younger players coming into the league and younger players that might end up having problems and be, a guy that they can come to. He wants to be that person in this league. And, Everson, you played and you've seen it, but guys come into the league and it's tough and people can sit at home and be armchair quarterbacks all they want, but you're 21, 22 years old, you're given a bunch of money. There's a bunch of attribute to players going down the wrong path. And he wants to help guys, so that these same things don't happen. So the fire's burning for him. Him and I have had talks a lot too about you're 30, you're not 25 anymore. Everson, I'm sure you said it yourself. You guys came to training camp and got yourself in shape that way. These guys work out all year round, but Aldon was one of those guys where he'd bend over, touch his toes, and he's warm, ready to go and go get 5 sacks. So, being 30 instead of 25, the warm-up routine, taking care of your body, the extra work that it needs to be put in, those are the things, too, that he's going to have to adjust because he wants to, he wants to play a long time now, and he wants to get those years in. So it's also just taking care of his body off the field and doing all those things because I always tell people NFL lives are like dog lives. For every 1 year in the league, it's like 7 years on your body. So if you're not taking care of yourself, and you're not doing the things off the field, you're not going to last a long time.
I think a lot of people, not just Cowboy fans, but there's a lot of people when they hear the story of Aldon Smith, they're going to be rooting for him to have some success as he comes back into the league. Let me ask you about another client of yours, Leighton Vander Esch, of course, who had his season shortened due to the neck injury and had the surgery after the season. And he sounds like he is 100% and raring to go. Give us an update on Leighton.
Leighton feels great. We actually went fishing the other night, and he pulled in a monster bass like the first 5 seconds. He put his pole in the water. I told him he should quit while he was ahead because then we sat there for 3 more hours and never got anything. But Leighton's awesome. He does everything right, works his butt off. Again, armchair quarterbacks want to be like, oh, they drafted a guy with a neck injury. That's not the truth. It's not what it was. Mike Mayock said it on NFL Network, and everybody took off and ran with it. He was born with a condition that a lot of guys play with. Some guys never have issues with it. Other guys, get hit the wrong way or something happens, and injuries happen in this game. So got surgery. He says he feels better than he ever has in his life because he doesn't have that tightness in his neck anymore.
That's good.
Last year he was playing with one arm, and he was missing tackles that the guy never missed. I think his rookie year, his tackling percentage was the highest in the league. He rarely missed tackles, and so now that he's out there, he'll be 100% raring to go. And I think in this new scheme, he's going to be able to do a bunch of cool things because the guys in front of him are going to be a lot bigger, taking up a lot more space. And I have a feeling that Leighton's going to have an incredible season and make a ton of plays for the defense.
And Ron, we talked about this last week on, anytime you have surgery on your neck, it's pretty serious surgery. And, I had seen someone refer to him as having minor neck surgery. And I don't think there's anything ever that's minor when you're having surgery on your neck.
Mickey, you need to hire me to be your PR guy. You got to put out the statement that it's a minor injury. I don't care what it is. It's always minor. Otherwise, the fans pile on and everybody everybody thinks it's the end of the world, and
right.
Cowboys suck at drafting, and everybody's an idiot, and blah blah blah.
Well,
so, yeah, it's not no, and the reality is, and this isn't agent talk. I don't like to BS people. It was minimal for a neck surgery is the actual, I guess, wording that was told to me from the doctors. It was an easy get in, get out. It wasn't a 8-hour surgery. They were in and out quick. They opened up the area that had the issue and fixed them up. And I mean, the first couple of days were rough for him because you're right, any surgery on that area is tough, but he's been raring to go. And I mean, he's 250 something pounds again, and he looks great.
Glad to hear that, Ron, because I was one of those guys that was really concerned about it. We saw how important he was for this team, and we saw that when he wasn't playing well, defensively, we weren't playing well. So I wouldn't say so goes Van Der Esch, so goes the Cowboys defense, but he's an integral part of that defense. And I like the way Mike Nolan's going to come in with the activity of the front line, which is going to be amazing. Our linebackers are going to be even more active than they've always been. And I really look forward to Van Der Esch doing a whole lot better than last year. We were very concerned about him, to be honest. And you've kind of alleviated that concern a little bit, the way you've talked about this surgery. So let's hope that that's just the way it is, and he can come back and be the guy that we saw when he was at top-notch level. So I'm going to take your word for it, Ron. All right? Linebackers are going to be the best they're going to be.
When you're talking about Mike Nolan, during the draft process, the whole time Leighton wanted to come to the Cowboys. That was his team. When I signed him here at the Cowboys Club, we had dinner, and we were like, "You're going to be a top 20 kid and a top 20 pick, and let's get you here to Dallas," because that was always his team. And but during the process, the other coach and team that he hit it off with was the Saints, and it was when he had his visit in New Orleans. Coach Nolan was the one who picked him up and took him around the facility, and they hung out like pretty much the entire visit. So when Coach Nolan was hired here, Leighton was fired up because he had really hit it off with him during the draft process. And again, Everson, in the league, there's certain you never burn bridges, and you always take advantage of the opportunities with the meetings you have, because coaches move around a lot and you never know who's going to be your next coach. And
I got bailed out a whole lot. Yeah,
you got an opportunity to spend it with Coach Nolan, and now he's here coaching them.
Ron, before we let you go, I want you to relate a story to us. I don't know how much it got out there about Leighton. We all know he's a great athlete, but his basketball playing ability growing up, AAU basketball is pretty legendary in the state of Idaho, isn't it?
That's just not the AAU. He led his high school to 2 state championships. I think he averaged like 30 points and 10 boards. Yeah, he averaged 30 points, 10 boards all the way through the tournament. His AAU teams, though, they used to play, because it was an Idaho AAU, people wouldn't give him respect. But then Leighton showed up, and they'd beat teams all on the West Coast all the time. And there's guys playing in the NBA now that Leighton was dunking on. So, his 3 older sisters were all really good basketball players. They played in college. One of them played overseas. They had an indoor basketball court there in Riggins growing up. So, yeah, I've said it before. If Leighton wasn't an NFL player, he probably would have been an NBA player. And if he wasn't an NBA player, he probably would have been a Navy SEAL and killed Osama bin Laden. Like anything Leighton wants to do, he can get it done. The guy is multi-talented.
So Everson, don't you say bad things about Leighton Van Der Esch, all right?
Hey, I obviously not white man can't jump, so that's not a thing. That's a good thing.
I would want to get in his way. I guarantee you that.
30 and 10. I'm moving out the way. Yeah.
Did you hear that? 48 vertical.
Whoa! My goodness.
40 inch.
40.
Okay.
Yeah. But he was
That's still
256.
good. That's still amazing. Wow.
Yeah, 256 pounds at the combine, jumps 40. Ridiculous.
Wow. Well, Ron, we appreciate you joining us. We'll have to do it again sometime, especially since you're when we get back in studio at the Star. We invite you right into the Star.
And I'll wear one of my sweet suits.
There you go. All right, Ron Slavin, the agent for Aldon Smith.
Way to go, Ron.
Thanks, Ron. And others. We appreciate you joining us here on Mick Shots, and we continue in just a moment.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys, and your favorite football team. Get yours today in the Stadium Pro Shop or at Stetson.com.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not too...
It's right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store to find out how to get one of our popular smartphones for $0 down. Based on GWS One score, September 2019.
Essilor is a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, helping fans see more and do more with our best vision solutions. Our lens technologies reveal a world more beautiful than you can imagine. For a limited time, get the Essilor Next Gen offer. When you buy the latest generation of Transitions lenses with select Essilor lenses, you can choose a second pair of clear lenses for free with qualifying frame purchases. Restrictions apply. Find a participating eye care professional by visiting EssilorUSA.com. Essilor. See more, do more.
So, you're shopping, and that's when you see it. Aisle 23. Dr. Pepper stacked from top to bottom as far as the eye can see. The phrase too good to be true comes to mind, yet there it is. A rich, delicious Dr. Pepper paradise. Wait, did that can of Dr. Pepper just open itself for you? They all are. As if to say, so nice to treat you. And even though it feels weird to talk to a can, you pick one up and say, it's so nice to be treated. Dr. Pepper, so nice to treat you.
Back to Mick Shots.
Don't miss your Cowboys this season at AT&T Stadium. Single game tickets are on sale now. Get your tickets today at DallasCowboys.com.
Love hearing Dr. Fauci.
Love hearing Dr. Fauci say that. Yes, there will be games this fall.
You're
you
fired.
Can have tickets to these games.
Hey, Bill, how about this one? Since we're talking single game tickets, I was doing some research in the around April of 1990, and one of the things I ran into, it was an announcement in the newspaper that the Cowboys' 1990 single-game tickets were going on sale June 1st. The cost $25 and $19 per ticket.
Wow.
Things have changed just over Yeah, they were all the same. And the 19, if I remember correctly, that was for the second level at Texas Stadium. But all the seats down in the bottom level were $25. Didn't matter if you were on the 50 or the goal line. They were $25.
Have headphones in, please. I hear feedback.
It's like... Not even the party passes now.
Not even the party passes now.
Yeah, right.
All right.
How about Ron Slavin? I love talking to him.
That was good stuff.
We could have talked to him a whole show. That was great stuff.
Mick Shots.
What'd you take from what he said?
Anytime you get a white dude that can play some basketball,
I have a whole new respect.
I have a whole new respect for him. Okay, I have no idea that he had those kind of skills. When you're talking about going to the West Coast playing some basketball, and you're a white dude from Idaho, is that what they just said? And of course, Idaho is a basketball mecca. Okay, that we just didn't know about. But when you're going on the West Coast, this is some good news for me, and especially with him explaining the
intricacies of the surgery.
It actually makes me feel a little bit better about what they were doing, and hopefully the result is going to come out and keep us as optimistic as we've always been. It really gives me a better look at what our linebackers might be able to do behind this.
So I think the key word there that he explained about Van Der Esch's surgery, minimally invasive. Not minor surgery, minimally invasive.
Like a scope. It's like a scope.
And Bill, now Everson's got more respect for you, right? Bill was a basketball player now, remember that?
No.
No.
When you think about Bill's vertical, a little bit different from Van Der Esch's vertical.
In fact, we played basketball at the same time back in Dallas Fort Worth. He was at Berkner, I was at MacArthur. Didn't play against each other, but I played against
Bill, I used to jump center. Bill. I don't think you used to jump center, buddy.
No, I was an outside shooter. I was a 6'4", three-point shooter. Only problem was we didn't have a three-point line back then.
So you were just a jump shooter, that's all.
That's right. No, I was a set shooter.
Oh, that's worse.
Yeah, right. How about what he said about Aldon Smith? And I really do think when you get to know, before Aldon Smith signed with the Cowboys, I didn't know that much about him as far as what kind of person he is. Yeah, you see the reports and everything. But as the agent alludes to, I mean, he had issues that he has now taken account for, and it sounds like he's turned his life around, and it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I think what people need to understand, just because you get reinstated doesn't mean you're in the all clear, right? They give you a program and guidelines that you have to continue to follow, and you better meet all those objectives that they have in that program. Otherwise, they can reverse it, in a minute. So it's like he's got to continue to do what he's been doing for 9 months. And I thought it was interesting to hear that he would like to help other people that may have been going through some of the things he was going through, and kind of be a spokesman or a mentor for other guys that have suffered through some of that. So, yeah, he gets that chance to do that. He got second chances. This is the last chance. I'll guarantee you. And it sounds like he takes it seriously.
When you talk about doing something like this, that's why I wanted to ask Ron about what the mental aspect was in regards to what Aldon is dealing with. You can be as physical as you want. You can get out there and work out, and you can, I'm back physically. But when you go through some of the things that he's gone through, given the chances that he's been given, there comes a mental approach to what he has to do and all those things he has to make up for. Because I'm sure he's given many promises in the past about how he's turned things around. You have to be mentally aware of where you are in life, not just physically aware, if you want to come back and do this game again. Because all of the things that come with it, and Ron kind of talked about it, you got young guys out there that can't really understand what's going on, and they get taken a certain way, just as Aldon did. He has to make sure he doesn't repeat those mistakes that he made when he was 25 years old. And it's easy to do that because now this is a brand new Aldon Smith coming into his 30 years of age, and he's going to have to deal with all those same issues that the 25-year-old Aldon Smith had to deal with. That's what we have to look out for.
I also think the fact that Jim Tomsula had him during those days where he was racking up all those sacks in San Francisco and the issues arose, and I would imagine he gave his seal of approval to this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have, the Cowboys would have listened to what Tomsula had to say because he was the one coach who had hands-on experience with him. And the fact that I think that tells you that Aldon Smith was, in Tomsula's mind, is not necessarily a bad guy. He just had a problem that he had to deal with and get through. And so hopefully we'll see good things from him.
And Bill, one of the other interesting things I think Ron pointed out was it wasn't just the Cowboys interested in him. He made it sound like there were other teams that were going through an interview process and were likely interested in signing him. I hear all this stuff out there with people that don't know talking about, well, only the Cowboys would do something like this to take a chance on a guy. It sounds like there were other teams after they saw maybe what he's done and the shape he got himself in that were interested in signing him.
And really, the Cowboys aren't taking a chance, in my mind. I mean, when you look at the contract, and the way it is structured, and with the incentives in it, and also what they did by drafting an eye. We'll see what happens with Randy Gregory's coming back as well, and they've got several other defensive ends on their roster. They've got numbers at the defensive end position. Now we just have to see who can play.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you haven't played for 5 years, that's a huge comeback. But again, to amplify that, he doesn't get maybe an off season to get back into feeling like playing football. So this is going to be kind of a shotgun start for him, probably when training camp begins.
All right, let's talk cornerbacks. Okay, I think Everson would like to talk cornerbacks. Mickey, you want to get us started with your thoughts on where the Cowboys are at the cornerback position? Of course, having drafted Trayvon Diggs in the 2nd round, Reggie Robinson in the 4th round, Darryl Worley, a new player coming in here as well, and then they've got the returning guys at cornerback with the exception of Byron Jones.
Yeah, and I think that what they've done for sure is, stock some depth at that cornerback position where there was no depth whatsoever heading into the offseason. You had Chidobe Awuzie, Jordan Lewis, and they re-signed Anthony Brown, and that was really it. So the fact that they drafted a couple guys, I think this is going to be one of the more, and I'm going to assume there's a training camp, Bill, and they're going to start on time. This is going to be one of the more competitive positions, I think, going forward, just not only because of the number of guys that they've thrown at this position, but the fact that it's a new coaching staff. And we all know if you played athletics and you ended up on a team with a new coach, man, you tried your hardest to impress that guy. And so that's what's going to happen. I just think there's been somewhat out there in some of the media a rush to judgment that just because the Cowboys drafted a guy in the 2nd round or they got a guy in the 4th round that these young kids are just automatically walk-in starters. I think Chidobe Awuzie and Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis might have something to say about that. So I don't think anything's just given to these guys, and certainly Everson understands that, the situation he came into when he came into the league.
Yeah, speaking of that, Spags, this is a piece of cake compared to what Mike Downs, myself, and Ron Fellows had to go through. We had 25 rookie DBs. In training camp. 25. Okay, let's just think about that. So I'm not really concerned about the number. I really am concerned about the quality because you're talking about 2 good cornerbacks coming in that I think are going to play immediately. When you're coming into training camp and as these young guys come in, hopefully they can really bring something new to the game. What Mike Downs and myself and Fellows brought in was the fact that we were ball hawks. Okay, we were going for the ball. We were hungry. You could see that in every drill that we did. And I want to see these guys, especially Diggs, come in and show me what he's learned and bring that turnover-minded ball-playing ability back to the Cowboys. I was talking with Mike Downs the other day, and all I did was just fuss about what happened to the culture. Okay? The culture of this Cowboys team has always been to get interceptions, always to get just turnovers. Even after Mike Downs and I left, that continued with Woodson, it continued with Deion Sanders, that continued with some good players that they had at cornerback position. Now we're so, I guess we're just content with not making plays, but just kind of, I call it catch and release. You let the guy catch the ball, you fall on top of him, he goes back to the huddle, he comes back and does it again. To me, that's not where a cornerback is supposed to play football. And I like the way Diggs played. I like the way he deciphered plays in college football. It wasn't just the fact that he was trying to shut down the receivers. He had an idea of what the offense was trying to do to him. And when you think about the players they brought in, I believe the other kid's name was Robinson. Yes. Am I correct?
Robinson. Yeah.
Robinson. That young man also has a nice head for the game. And that's what you want, some heads-up players who can make the plays in the clutch when we need them. I don't need a guy just out there just running beside the receiver. Guys that realize once the ball is in the air, I am the receiver. And that's what I saw from these two ball hawking guys that they drafted.
All right, and Trayvon Diggs had 3 picks last year for Alabama. Reggie Robinson at Tulsa had 4 interceptions. All right, and you've got returning starter Chido Awuzie, who had 1 interception, 3 in his career. You've got Jordan Lewis, 2 interceptions last year, 4 in his career. You've got Anthony Brown, no picks last year. Of course, he was hurt quite a bit of the season, and 4 picks in his career. You've got Darryl Worley, who's been a starter throughout his time in the league, 15 starts for the Raiders last year, 1 interception, and 5 in his career. Maurice Kennedy is another veteran guy they brought in who started 3 games last year for the Jets. Who's your starters, the left cornerback, the right cornerback, and the slot corners as this thing gets underway, Everson?
I'm looking at Diggs. I am looking, just to keep it simple, I'm looking at Diggs to come in halfway during the season. I think he's going to be starting. I truly believe that. As they start off, because of his physical ability, because of his size, and I love Jordan. I really do. This guy can play. But I'm looking at physicality here. Okay, I'm looking at imposing players that can intimidate wide receivers. So I'm looking at Diggs to come in and play that slot position. Awuzie, if he continues to do well, he could be the cornerback. And we're looking at Brown on the other side. Otherwise, that's going to be a change as the season goes on. I don't know. I never was impressed with Brown in regards to his recognition and playmaking ability. It's not just interceptions. I mean tackles as well. I mean just making plays on the ball. I don't know how long he will be able to last at that position without being able to make plays on the ball. So I think Diggs is going to eventually end up being a starting corner along with Awuzie.
You know, it'll be interesting to see where they line up Diggs. Are they going to put him left or are they going to put him right? Because if we remember, Jones was on the right side, Chidobe was on the left side. And it'll be interesting, and I think will be telling of what the coaches think on where they line these guys up when they initially finally get to go out there. And, you know, and Bill, you mentioned Worley. You know, to me, and he's done it a little bit, not a lot, but he's got a safety body, and if somebody's going to be moving, it might be him moving to safety because they need some depth there. And I think there's going to be a lot expected of Donovan Wilson in his second year to come on and show something. You know, we think we know who the starters are, you know, with Xavier Woods and Clinton Dix, but you need another couple guys back there. Worley could be one of them. And Donovan Wilson, you know, does he show up and give them something after really not getting much of a chance his rookie year?
Yep, that's right. And who knows, Jamal Adams was going to change the whole picture for everybody. All right, that does it for this edition of Mick Shots. For Everson Walls and Mickey Spagnola, we appreciate Ron Slavin joining us this week, and we will chat at you again next week right here on Mick Shots.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.